Good. Hey, I know that every year is different and it's only been a week, but are you starting to see any bit of identity that you guys may play with this year?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it has been teaching so far. So, it can be there's like this gray area a little bit, I think, where new players especially, are trying to learn, but also trying to show their game. But slowly but surely, things do present themselves, and you start to, especially for me at the point guard spot, you start to see like where players like the ball, where they could be successful. I don't necessarily have an exact answer for a team identity. I think that's still it's tough to say. We actually are missing, some key pieces, one being Brandon Stewart. So it can be hard to kind of see how it's all going to fit. But I don't think we're going to be that much different from previous years. I really
Hey,
don't.
hey, and it was your coach who just earlier who talked about the idea of building chemistry with this team because there's so many new pieces and trying to get that done quickly with so many people that are missing you as a point guard. What can you do to make that happen?
Just try to like simplify whenever I can. Try to give just little pieces of advice or insight. Obviously, I know this offense and this defense very well. And I know, the players who are returning, I know them very well. So just, little nuggets along the way that can help everybody, both individually and then from a team perspective as well.
And then just this last thing from me. Hey, it was a big weekend for Stewie. Just your thoughts on her big proposal there.
Yeah, super happy for them. Clearly when you're around them, you can see just, what a wonderful couple they are and how sweet they are to each other. So just genuinely happy for her and for Marta.
It wasn't a peer or anything like that, but it was kind of close, right? It was similar. Yeah.
We weren't on it. Are you talking about me and Megan?
Yeah.
We weren't on a peer. That was
it looked like a peer.
Just the side of the pool.
Oh, there you go. All right. All right, Sue. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Thanks, Percy. Let's go to Kevin real quick. Kevin?
Importantly, no one was wearing a bucket hat. I know how big that is. I was curious, we saw you and Megan working at the vaccination clinic at Lumen Field, volunteering there a few weeks ago. Why was that important for you to do and, kind of emphasize the importance of people getting vaccinated?
Yeah, I mean, just that. I think both Megan and I feel strongly about the vaccine, feel strongly about people getting those needles in their arms, what that can do for yourself as an individual, but also for society as a whole. So anytime, it was a combination of things. I think it was a way for us to, show that the fact that you even have to say it this way, but it was a way for us to show that we were, big proponents of the vaccine, that we were, at that point, we were in the process of getting it ourselves. So we wanted to, let that be known. But also, as it turns out, vaccine sites are like that. I keep joking. It's like the happiest place on earth. Everybody was just really happy to be there. And I think for us, we were able to bring some extra smiles to some faces and to really give back to our community here in Seattle. Obviously we've all been through so much. So any chance you have to like brighten a day, it really does have a lasting impact. And that's, as it turned out, we went there to maybe just help in any way we could and brighten some people's days. And as it turned out, it was our day that was brightened, just because of all the smiles we were able to see. And like I said, when people are getting the vaccine, they're generally really happy. So it was a great day.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. Michelle Vopel, let's go to you. Michelle?
Sue, if I could, two kind of different questions. One, and forgive me for asking, but obviously, last year you did have some ups and downs with the knee, but when it mattered most, you were able to be out there. I'm wondering how you're feeling overall, first question. And then second, when you have things like this Google deal that was announced today and so many things that have happened, both during the pandemic season last year and since then, have we had a little bit of a turning point in terms of the WNBA's impact, do you think?
Yeah, so I'll answer that question first. So I think deals like what we saw today with Google, what we've already seen with, the Changemakers program, AT&T, Nike. Hopefully we have more corporate sponsorships coming on board. That's really where the league has had its toughest time, is getting our own deals and understanding what that does is allows you as a league to understand what your market value is. And that's something that Kathy has really talked about a lot, and something that I'm starting to learn more about. Just literally, we haven't been able to establish what that is. And I think we're finally on that path, which can really open the doors for a lot of growth. You know, I mean, the one thing that we're starting to see across the board with women's sports and the conversation around it is just that you can only go up. We've literally not been invested in, so it can only go up. And that makes it an attractive investment. And I think the WNBA is obviously at the forefront the last 12 plus months of that. But I think a lot of sports leagues for women are starting to gain traction. I think we're all in this together, which is a great thing. And I mean, the moment is now. And I think the momentum is building. I think, listen, everybody on this call, we've all been in women's basketball a long time. You can't tell me it doesn't feel different right now. It just does. And that's a good thing. And I think hopefully what can happen is a long-term play, right? Like, we don't want it to just be these short-term deals that kind of come and go. We need these to be long-term relationships where you're investing in our potential. And that's another thing that's never really been talked about, investing in the potential of us as players, us as a league. And I think those shifts in conversations and narratives hopefully can lead to long-term change. And it feels like we're knocking on that door. Oh, and then my knee feels great. I mean, I know it's kind of hard to understand the difference at times between a 40-year-old athlete who, is still doing it and someone who actually got injured. I feel like I got injured last year. It wasn't a product of my age. It wasn't a product of anything else other than sadly getting my knee banged and having a bone bruise and having to deal with that. Coming back a little too soon, which was my fault, having to take a little bit more time off. But to your point, Michelle, I take care of my body. I do what I have to do to be playing at a high level as an athlete. Things happen sometimes, and that's what happened to me in the 2020 season. Knock on wood. I hope things like that don't happen to anybody on this team. But right now, my health is great. I feel great. And, so far camp's going well for me from a physical standpoint.
Thank you.
No problem.
Great stuff. Thanks, Michelle. Alex, let's go to you, Alex.
Hey there, Sue. Alex Hazzy with NBC and On Her Turf. Curious to get your thoughts on something. So I know you guys are going without any practice players this season for a second straight season, but I recently learned that in a normal year, women aren't actually allowed to be practice players per league rules. And I was wondering if that's something that you'd like to see changed, if that's something that the Players Association could have any influence on.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I don't, it wouldn't, for me personally, if a female lived in the city, a women's basketball player lived in the city, wanted to be a practice player, I don't know why it's an issue. I think people worry about are you training the player to then sign them? Are you trying to back channel in a way? And there are aspects. If a player is good enough to be a practice player, they're probably in the league. So it's not just that they've been denied this opportunity. I don't think there are that many players that necessarily want the opportunity, but if it did present itself in a way where, let's say it's somebody who sadly didn't make a WNBA roster, but is training to go overseas and wants to just play basketball, I don't see why that's an issue. Sometimes I think we get caught up in some really, to be honest, ridiculous rules that won't pan out anyway. We're preparing for them, and it's never going to happen that way. And what happens is you end up denying people opportunities. So I personally don't have a problem with it. I guess it's something we haven't really gotten to discussions with our union, but if it did come up, I don't know why we couldn't figure out a way.
Do you know, is it a union rule or a league rule?
I'm sure it's somewhere in I don't know. Is it in the
I did a little searching and I didn't find it, but maybe
yeah, I don't know if it's in the CBA. I mean, honestly, who can read that CBA? You need a CBA for dummies. It's the language in it is just, no wonder we have lawyers in this life. That's what they get paid to do. So I don't know if it's in the CBA or not. It might just be a league rule. That doesn't mean we can't have a conversation about it.